Hi, welcome to Learn at Home with VIA. My name is Nicole Curtis, and I'm an art teacher at the Wayne Highlands School District in Honesdale, Pennsylvania. Today we're going to be making these really yummy looking paper mache donuts. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It's a really fun, easy lesson that you can do at home. So let's get started. So we are going to be starting with just what I call the skeleton. So for this part of the paper mache, we want to just think about like the basic shape of the donut. And for both the holy donut and for the filled donut, we're going to be starting with just this ring shape. And this is what I call like the skeleton or the bones. So all we're going to do is we are going to take some newspaper, and you can use anything for this that has a little bit of strength to it. So when we roll this up, I am going to create just this little like cylinder here, and I'm going to tape it so that it doesn't come unrolled. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of hold it in my arm like a lightsaber, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand like this. And I'm just going to kind of pull it apart so that I get this nice round shape. And then I'm going to tape it so that it stays together. And you can use any kind of tape for this. You could use Scotch tape. I'm using masking tape. You can use, I've used like first aid tape, duct tape. You could even like staple it if you wanted to. So we just need this to stay together. Okay, so there's my basic shape that I'm going to be starting with for my holy donut. And I'm going to make another one because I want to show you how to do the filled donut too. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to use some paper towel, and I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to roll it up, and you can use a brown paper bag. I think would work really well for this. And again, I'm just going to grab it in my hand like this, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. Okay, so super duper easy. And I'm just going to get that donut shape. Just going to tape it so it doesn't pop open while I have my messy paper mache on there. And then for my filled donut, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some more paper towel, and I'm just going to stuff it in the center like that. Okay? So now for the paper mache. So for paper mache, you're going to need a bowl, and there's two different recipes that we use for paper mache. Usually at school, I just mix together glue and water, and you can use any kind of glue for that. You can use wood glue, you can use Elmer's glue, clear glue, whatever you've got. I don't have a ton of glue at home, so I'm actually going to use flour and water. So we're just going to use regular flour that you would use for baking, so for like making a cake or bread or whatever. And it's really, really easy. So if you're using flour, or if you're using the glue recipe, it's just equal parts of flour or glue and water. Okay, so if I have just like my little measuring cup here, and I'm gonna take some flour and I'm just gonna put it in my bowl, and then I'm gonna use the same amount of water. So I'm just gonna take some water, same measuring cup, and I'm gonna put that in my bowl, and then I'm just gonna mix it together really well. So basically you just wanna make a paste, and it should be kind of gooey. Let's see that. And if it's too thick, this is kind of too thick, I want it to be a little bit more runny. You could just keep adding in a little bit of water at a time until you get that consistency. So it should be kind of drippy like that, right? And then all that I'm gonna do is I wanna make some strips. So I can make strips out of paper towel. You can also use a brown paper bag if you like. And I know that some people use newspaper for this. I'll tell you why I don't like using newspaper. I don't like using anything that has print on it or photos on it or some kind of a pattern, because when you go to paint over it, you have to use so much paint to cover it, and I don't like wasting my paint. So I like to use just plain paper towels. This is what we use at school too. You could also, like I said, if you wanted to just take, you know, if you have any of these like brown lunch bags laying around, you can take those and you can also cut those up into strips. They would work really well too, and they're actually kind of donut color already, so that would save you on paint there too. So I'm just gonna make some more. So make sure you have enough strips, because once you start doing this, it's super duper messy, and that way you won't like get paper mache goo all over your scissors. So cut extra. I'm just gonna cut these guys. You could totally use like white, if you have like white copy paper for this. Like I said, just anything that doesn't have writing on it. Okay, so once I have my strips, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dunk them into my paste here, and I want to make sure that they are covered completely. So I'm just going to kind of dip them in, and then I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to get the excess off. So it's important that they're covered all the way, but we don't want our strips to be dripping, because then you'll just have like a big pile of goo, and that's not good. So I'm just gonna take these strips and I'm gonna wrap them around my donut here. And as I'm doing that, I'm gonna smooth it out. And I don't know about you, but this feels so good. I love getting my hands dirty and gooey. So I'm just kind of smoothing it as I'm going. And I'm just gonna do that until I have the whole donut completely wrapped. Okay, so we're just gonna, again, I'm just dunking these in, and then I'm just taking the excess off. So the whole thing should be, it should feel wet, but when I hold it up, it shouldn't be dripping everywhere. So I'm just gonna keep adding these on there. And it is important that you smooth it out so that when you go to paint it, you have a nice smooth surface to paint on top of. So we don't want anything, and you can see like on this little piece here, I didn't have enough paste on it. This is kind of fun part, so I can just dip my finger in there, and then I can kind of add some extra on. So you can crisscross it as you're going. If you're doing the filled one, you could do a couple in one direction and then a couple more in a different direction. And that way you'll make sure that it's completely covered. And then once we have it completely covered, we do have to let these dry completely. So if you can just put them in a place where they're gonna kind of get some air, and then maybe flip them over halfway through, like tonight sometime, especially with the if you're using the flour and the water, because if it's not completely dry and there's moisture still in there, they might start to get a little bit moldy, which is why at school we usually use the glue, because we don't have to worry about that with the glue and the water mixture. But this works perfectly fine. Just really have to make sure that it's dried. Okay, so there is my holy donut, or my filled donut. So this would be like a Boston cream or like a jelly fill or cream filled. I'm just gonna set this and let this guy dry until tomorrow. And then for our holy donut, I'm gonna just do the same thing. This is a little bit trickier because you have to wrap it through the middle, but it's not terribly hard to do. So you can really make anything out of paper mache. You just have to think about, what it is that you're making, and then what the skeleton of that might look like. At school, a lot of times we'll go through our recycling and we will create all kinds of things. Animals, bugs, aliens. So we had a giant turtle with an old, like a saucer that you use when you go sleigh riding. We use that for his shell. And then we had used a milk jug for his head, and some egg cartons for his legs. And he turned out super cute. So once you know how to use the paper mache, you really can use it to create all sorts of different types of sculptures. Because the great thing about it is that it dries with this hard shell, and then you have this permanent sculpture that you can really just keep forever. So have some fun with that. And you can certainly Google it too. There's all kinds of cool stuff on the internet, Pinterest. So, all right, here is my holy donut. I'm going to show you how to make our awesome icing. Let's get this guy finished. One more piece here. Gonna sop up the rest of it in my bowl. All right. So when you're doing these, it's just, I guess that's the tricky part, is getting it like up through the center and then around. And then when you're done, just smooth it all out and let it dry. Okay, so that guy's done there too. Okay, so I'm just gonna wipe my hands off, and then I'm gonna show you how to make it look like a donut. All right. So what we're gonna do, I have a filled donut that I had made a couple days ago, and it is completely dry now, and you can see, it's really, really hard. It's got this nice shell on it. And the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint my donut. So I don't know about you guys, but I love chocolate donuts. So my other donuts, I did chocolate. I guess I'll do this one. I have this like lighter brown color that would maybe look more like a glazed donut. But you can do, I don't know, any kind of donut that you like. You can do red velvet. You could do like a blueberry. I don't know. You could do a unicorn donut. You can make it all kinds of crazy colors and sparkly. So I'm just going to paint the whole thing. So I like to do the sides, and I like to do the bottom in case somebody picks it up. And I'm just going to paint it this whole one color for my donut. So think about this, if you were baking the donut, what flavor is it? So this is like the cake part. So once I get that totally painted, you could probably even really just leave it the white. It would look like a powdered sugar donut. So if you didn't have paint to do this part, just leave it white. It'll look like a sugar donut. Okay, and I can leave some of this on the top, not paint it, because I'm gonna do my awesome icing. So I'm gonna show you how to make puffy paint, and puffy paint is so fun. Once you make it, you're gonna wanna use it all the time and it's super duper easy. So all that you're gonna do is you are going to use glue. And again, you can use any kind of glue that you have. You can use like that clear glue like you would use for slime. And this is almost a slime recipe without the activator, okay? So for my people, my friends out there that like slime, you'll know how to do this. So you're just gonna put some glue in a container. Just gonna do some glue in the bottom. And then I'm gonna use shaving cream, and it has to be foam shaving cream. So the gel type, it doesn't really work because you need to have like the air in there to get it to be puffy. So I'm gonna put some shaving cream, and then I like to put just a little bit more glue on top. So I make sure when I mix it up that it's all kind of getting through there, okay? So I'm gonna mix that together. And I'm just gonna mix it really well. Make sure you get the glue off the bottom. And then I can decide, you know, what color I wanna make my icing for my yummy donut here. And I thought since I have a pink one and a purple one, and I kind of like the way they look together, I'm gonna do another kind of just pretty pastel-y color. So you can either use paint, so I could just put like a little bit of paint in here, or you could totally add in food coloring. Actually, food coloring is what I used on the pink and the purple donut. So I'm just gonna mix that together really well. Oh my goodness, I love that color. So pretty. And then I'm really just gonna ice it the way I would like a real donut or a cupcake. So I'm gonna take my puffy paint and I'm just gonna spread it all over my donut here. Look how cool that looks, right? And I like it when it looks like it's dripping down the side, because it makes it look like a real donut. And if you have time just to let the paint that you used on your donut to dry, do that, because otherwise you will get a little bit of that color in your puffy paint and in your icing. Okay, so there's my awesome, oh my gosh, look how delicious that looks. Yum. And then we're gonna add some sprinkles on top. So 4 sprinkles. Be creative. You can use all kinds of crazy things that you probably have around the house. You can use, I'm gonna show you what I have here. I have some beads that I have in this little bowl here. So I just kind of put together a collection of things that I kind of found around the studio here. You could totally use beads. I'm just kind of gonna throw those on there. That's what they look like. You can use glitter. Love glitter. I don't have a ton of like colored glitter here, but I do have this clear glitter, so it kind of looks like sugar. Yum. You can use real sprinkles. So I just have those that we usually use on like cupcakes or whatever. Oh my gosh, look at that. Looks like a real donut. And if you don't have any of those things, what you could do is you can take some paper, and this was just colored paper that I found in a magazine, and you can cut it into little strips like this. And then what you can do is you can just cut little narrow pieces so that they look like the little jimmies. At school we use plastic like beads. We use pieces of pipe cleaners. There's all kinds of cool stuff that you can use. But that's our awesome donut. Doesn't that look delicious? I want to take a bite. Yum. And I bet if you leave this on your counter, somebody might think it's a real donut. So that is our how to make delicious, amazing paper mache donuts. I hope you had fun watching, and I hope you have fun creating these little beauties. So thanks for joining me on VAA Learn From Home, and thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.
In college, I was an art history major at the time of the Florence flood, and so I became very aware of art conservation at that time, not just as images but as physical objects that had undergone various degrees of alteration and mutilation over the years, and I became very interested in this. I always study a bit about the artist first. If it's an artist that I don't know, and of course there are so many, especially in the Quest collection, it's full of what you call small masters who are very good artists, but they're not household names. Some small masters, from the point of view of style, are technically simpler in the way that they're painted. That makes them actually easier to restore when you get to the retouching stage. If something is only painted in 2 layers as opposed to 12, it's much easier to imitate. Even though painting is a 2-dimensional image, in its physical reality, it's 3-dimensional. It's very important for not only art historians but also art restorers to experience the actual texture of a paint, not just the surface texture, but also the history of what's happened to a painting over time. It can never be the way it was the day it was painted, because paintings start to change the moment they leave the artist's easel. The materials are not permanent. They undergo changes over time. Certain pigments alter. Green turns brown or black. Bright reds can turn blackish. Some pigments fade completely. They just become colorless. Details that are painted into dark colors, which an artist often paints using very thin layers, don't separate from each other as well as they initially did. They tend to blend, and sometimes you can see, when you're working on a picture, sometimes you can see with a very strong light detail that has completely disappeared.
Paintings have they have lives, and all kinds of things happen to them. You can't help but impose something of your own time and taste on it. Paintings are always at risk when they are bought and sold. Dealers always want to do something to them to make them as attractive and as palatable as possible.
It's not always a good thing, restoration. Sometimes benign neglect is the very best thing for works of art.
I can easily imagine a scenario where the dealer decided that this bright red background was just too weird. It would not appeal to a buyer in 1930. Before we go, we're going to take a tiny sample of paint and then have a look at it in New York under the microscope. You can see the relationship between the layers to confirm that this actually is a vermilion background. Even when you try as hard as you can, in 100 years, if your restoration lasts that long, someone is going to say, that restoration was done in 2000. I'm convinced of it. We're all trapped in the pace of our time. If you're aware of it, it's, helps maybe avoid the worst pitfalls.
The art is the art, and every single one of them deserves the same kind of attention, the same amount of attention, and every one of them deserves to be preserved.